There are moments in life when something ordinary shatters into something extraordinary, quietly, without warning, like a whisper that suddenly becomes the turning point of someone's entire world. And on a quiet Tuesday morning in a small café just outside Seattle, that moment unfolded over a sink full of soap bubbles and a woman who thought no one ever truly saw her. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and people who rise from difficult places, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more stories like this to the world. Her name was Rachel Monroe, a 28-year-old woman who had learned early in life how to move quietly, how to stay unnoticed, and how to work harder than anyone expected. She never asked for anything, because she grew up believing that asking only brought disappointment. After losing her mother young and growing up in a home where affection was scarce, Rachel carried a constant heaviness in her chest. Life had taught her to survive, not to hope. So she took whatever job she could find, and right now, that meant spending long hours in the back of a cafe called the Willow Hearth, where the air always smelled faintly of coffee grounds and cinnamon. Every morning Rachel arrived before sunrise, slipping into the kitchen in her simple blue dress, her only work dress, and tying on her apron before stepping to the sink. The staff rarely talked to her, not out of cruelty but because Rachel made herself small, quiet, efficient. She washed dishes with a kind of grace, moving her hands through the water as if performing something tender and sacred. No one noticed it. No one ever noticed her. Except one person did. Michael Archer, the cafe owner, was the type of man who paid attention to people. He had built his small business on kindness, patience, and a belief that everyone had a story. He often walked through the kitchen during slow hours, checking on things, making sure everything and everyone was all right. So he noticed Rachel's silence, the way she worked without breaks, the gentleness in her eyes even when she seemed tired down to her bones. But he also noticed something else, something unusual, something that made him pause nearly every day as he passed by the sink. He noticed the way Rachel looked out the window while washing dishes. She never stared blankly, she stared like someone seeing more than was actually there, like someone imagining beauty where others saw nothing. She had this quiet expression, part longing, part determination, part sorrow, and Michael realized she wasn't just washing dishes. She was thinking. Dreaming. Remembering. Surviving. There was something fragile yet unbreakable in her presence, something he couldn't quite explain. But it moved him. One rainy morning, after a particularly busy breakfast rush, Rachel stood alone at the sink. Her shoulders sagged a little, the steam from the hot water fogging the window in front of her. Something about the scene made Michael stop at the doorway. It was the way she paused, hands submerged in the suds, her chest rising in a deep, shaky breath, as if she were fighting back something overwhelming. He realized then that she wasn't just tired. She was hurting. Rachel had always been good at hiding pain. She didn't cry at work, didn't raise her voice, didn't show frustration. But inside, she felt like she was breaking. Bills were piling up, her rent was overdue, and the little apartment she lived in had started to feel like a cage. Every day felt like walking through underwater weight. And she feared that one mistake, one late payment, one unexpected problem, would send her life spinning out of control again. Michael stepped into the kitchen quietly, not wanting to startle her. But Rachel noticed him and straightened immediately, wiping her hands on her apron even though they were still wet. She expected criticism. She always expected criticism. But instead, Michael simply watched her carefully. He wasn't looking at her like a boss judging performance, he was looking at her like a human being seeing another human being's quiet suffering. And that's when he saw it, up close, unmistakably. The thing no one else had ever noticed. Rachel's eyes, though tired, carried a kind of resilience that didn't match the life she seemed to live. She had a spark, a depth, a quiet strength. And there was a gentleness in her movements, a way she treated even the plates and glasses with care, like she believed everything deserved respect. It reminded him of someone who had been overlooked too many times and still chose kindness. It was rare, beautiful, and heartbreaking. Michael couldn't ignore it anymore. So that day, while Rachel continued working, he made a decision. He couldn't let someone like her drift through life unseen. He couldn't watch someone carry so much alone. Over the next week, he changed little things. He brought her fresh pastries in the morning, claiming they were extras. He shortened her shift on days she looked exhausted. He made sure she took breaks. And each time, Rachel looked confused, almost suspicious, as though kindness was something foreign and unpredictable. But slowly, day by day, she began to soften. She started lifting her head more. She moved with a little more lightness. And Michael noticed that when she thought no one was looking, she smiled to herself, small smiles, but real. Then came the morning that changed everything. Michael found an envelope sitting on the counter near the sink. Rachel was already gone for the day, having left earlier because of a stomachache she tried to hide. The envelope had her name written on it in careful handwriting. Inside was a notice from her landlord, final warning before eviction. He felt his chest tighten. Without hesitation, he drove to Rachel's apartment. When she opened the door, she looked startled, embarrassed, and unsure of what to say. Her eyes were red, and Michael realized she had been crying. He held up the envelope, not judgmentally, but gently. And that moment, standing in the doorway of her small, dim apartment, was the first time Rachel finally broke. Years of hardening melted away. She cried the way people cry when they're finally seen, finally heard, finally allowed to breathe. Michael didn't shame her. He didn't lecture her. He simply told her she mattered, that she deserved better, that she wasn't meant to carry everything alone. And something in Rachel shifted. She realized, maybe for the first time in her life, that she wasn't invisible. From that day forward, her life began to change, not because someone rescued her, but because someone believed in her. Michael helped her arrange more stable hours, encouraged her to take classes in the evenings, and supported her growth. Rachel began saving money, planning for her future, dreaming again. She stood taller. She smiled more. She spoke with newfound confidence. And people noticed. The woman who once washed dishes in silence became the woman who inspired others simply by showing them that quiet strength is still strength, and that sometimes all a person needs is one kind soul to see them. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps keep these stories alive. Speech balloon before you go, comment below. I believe every unseen person deserves to be seen. Thank you for watching, and may kindness follow you wherever you go.